I'm so pumped we got this for the big interview. The story maybe of the season so far. I don't know. Maybe by the end of 2025, it'll still be the best story of this season. Malcolm Stewart, that long awaited first win. We're lucky. We're talking to you a little later in the week. I know you've done a lot of media so far. Has it seemed any different? Felt any different? You said on Saturday by Monday morning it was just going to be back to work. Has it felt that way?
It's kind of funny that you say that. Yeah, Monday morning I did not want to ride, but
Yeah.
Alden snapped it. Alden was like, "No, we're getting back to it on the track," and we went back and got to work. But it it's starting to sink in a little bit. You know, of course, now I'm finally catching up with some text messages and stuff like that. It's pretty cool, man. There's so much weight off my shoulders. You know, you've been grinding for this moment for a very long time for myself and my whole family. And I felt like once we finally came across that checkered flag, it was like, okay, like this big relief. So it's a cool moment, and I'm just thankful that I finally got it done.
So let's go back. Let's go back 5 years, even further back. And the way I kind of saw your racing is kind of the same as all the good guys and all the normal spots, but in the whoops, you had this big advantage. And when the whoops were their toughest, you could really utilize that. And I felt like if you were going to get a win in this class, that's kind of the weapon you were going to wield. Does it feel like you're back there again where everything else is kind of equal, but I have this edge in the whoops, and if the track sets up, it's kind of on for me?
Yeah, I mean, to me, like, you know, in the past history, it's like, oh, Stewart's always been fast in the whoops and things like that. And I kind of felt like there was that moment where the jumping line became faster. And then, you know, so that advantage of me being that, you know, third, fourth gear through the whoops, that challenging moment started to kind of fade away. And there was very few tracks that, you know, in the past that I could be able to manage it. And that's just technology, the way our bikes are, the way the track develops. That's just racing, right? And so for the last 2 years, I started trying to focus more on jumping the whoops faster and things like that, because that's what happened at the end of the, you know, start and end of main events. And just for some reason, Tampa just lined up where the skimming line was actually faster through the whole day, the whole night. And I was just one of my advantages. I kind of kicked it back old school for myself and just made it happen, right? And to be honest with you, the reason why, you know, I was so much faster through the whoops is because it was the section before that had the momentum that was in there. You know, I was entering the whoops with just the amount of speed. I wasn't gaining any, like, I wasn't one of those times where the whoops were, if you didn't enter them, you know, as racers, you know, what you enter the whoop, the first whoop is, you can't gain speed. It's all about the momentum coming in. And I knew those whoops were really slick, you know, and things like that. So I was like, if I can just enter them, the faster I can enter them, the better off I'll be, less on the throttle, easy through, and just power through. But it takes a lot of guts to do that too, right? You know, so it's, again, at the end of the day, it all worked out in my favor. And when you're gelling with the track, it just makes things life easier.
You know, after the win, it was cool to hear. So many people know your story, but your dad, I think, articulated it best. He said, I didn't even want him to race. I just wanted him to go fishing with me.
True statement.
Yeah. We all know, because we also knew your brother, James, that you were the guy who had fun. Sometimes you wanted to race. Sometimes you didn't. Sometimes you were serious. Sometimes you weren't. So now, over the age of 30, you get this win. Maybe you're even getting better. Does that contribute? You were not as serious as some 8-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds. You saw it firsthand how gnarly that can be for your brother. Is that actually helping you now that you weren't as serious way back then?
Yeah, I mean, I'm so thankful where I'm at right now. Like, I don't want to go anything back like, oh, I wish I was more serious. Absolutely not. Like, I'm who I am today, and because of who I am today is what helped me out. You know, like up and down, like whether if I won the race or I didn't win this race, I looked at it as like, look how long you've been racing, right? Like, this is your 15th year of racing professionally. Yeah, you had some injuries. Yeah, you did win a championship. Like, there's also some great things and moments other besides just winning that one race. This was obviously one of the things I wanted in my lifetime, but if it wasn't going to make or break me, right? You know, like, I made a lot of great friends in this industry and things like that. This is just a cherry on top for myself and everybody is in this industry. And you and I both know, it's like, Jason, like, you know me, you know who Malcolm is on a personal level, and it's just that guy that's, if you ask me, you're like, if anybody knew who I was doing, what I was at, you're like, oh, what's Malcolm gonna do when he's done? Oh, he's probably fishing somewhere. Like, that's the attitude. Like,
Yep.
That's who I am, and I'm just, again, I'm blessed and thankful, where I am in my life, and I wouldn't have changed any moment where I'm at.
I think the main thing people want to know, does this carry into Detroit? Is this the beginning of something, or you want to put the brakes on that a little bit, still take it race by race? Or are you like, hey, now that I got one, what comes next?
Of course, like, now that I have one, the pressure's off. I don't have to worry about, that added weight pressure for 108 starts in my life. But no, of course, I want more. And all it takes is, everybody always told me, like, that first one's the hardest one. And let's just try to go out there and keep digging and see if we can keep earning some more. That's the goal, and that's the reason why I was doing this. And yeah, of course, I'm going to try to go into Detroit swinging as possible, as much as I can. But at the same time, like, I'm having a great time right now.
That's what it's all about for Malcolm Stewart. We love it, man. All right, get back to work. We'll see you Saturday. Well, that's it. I think we've given you everything you could possibly need to know before the Detroit round of Monster Energy Supercross, except when the race takes place and where you can watch it. This is a day race. I cannot stress that enough. This is a day race on Eastern time. So Race Day Live qualifying coverage begins at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, and the racing begins at 3 o'clock Eastern. That's the similar schedule to what we had last year when we went to Detroit, if that makes it any more easily understood. It is a day race. There will be a re-air on Sunday afternoon on NBC at 2 o'clock Eastern. Of course, you can watch everything live on Peacock and or the SMX Video Pass if you live outside the United States. So that's when, and we know where, and we think we know a lot coming into this race. But if the last 2 weekends have shown us anything, JT, it doesn't matter what we thought we know. It changes in a hurry.
Hi, folks. Lee Diffie from NBC Sports here. If you truly enjoyed what you just watched, you can get more news, interviews, and highlights by subscribing to the Motorsports on NBC YouTube page. You can get it all, so go for it.